WNBA finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. You know, I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments. And so all I'll say is just, you know, it's...
Imagine walking into a room where you're the boss, but the person sitting across from you just signed a check worth more than your entire company's annual payroll. That is the exact nightmare WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is reportedly waking up to as Caitlin Clark continues to shatter every financial glass ceiling in professional sport. The headlines are screaming about a massive $50 million empire. And while the fans are cheering, the whispers coming out of the league's front office suggest a very different emotion. Absolute rage. For decades, the WNBA operated under a specific set of rules where the league was the star and the players were lucky to be there. But Caitlin Clark didn't just break those rules. She set the entire playbook on fire. When the news broke that Gatorade was locking her down in a deal that looks more like a LeBron James-level contract than a standard rookie agreement, the balance of power in women's basketball shifted overnight. But why would the commissioner be upset about success? The answer lies in the dark corners of league politics and the desperate struggle for control currently simmering behind the scenes. It started with a simple signature, but it's ending in a corporate war few people saw coming. The Gatorade deal isn't just about sports drink. It's a declaration of independence that has left the league office scrambling to figure out who is actually in charge. While the public sees a rising star, executives see a player becoming too big to fail and too wealthy to control. The tension began the second the ink dried on a contract that reportedly dwarfs the combined salaries of almost every veteran in the league. This wasn't just a win for Clark. It was a wake-up call for a commissioner's office long accused of keeping its stars on a very short leash. But with $50 million on the line, that leash has officially snapped. The sports marketing world has never seen anything quite like this, and the ripple effects are creating a divide between the new money face of the league and the old guard who feel their territory is being invaded. There are rumors of emergency phone calls and high-level meetings where the primary topic wasn't how to grow the game, but how to handle the fact that one player now holds more leverage than the entire front office combined. This is the story of how a single endorsement deal turned the WNBA into a powder keg, and why the woman at the top might be the one most worried about the explosion. The Gatorade deal didn't just add zeros to Clark's bank account. It created a structural problem for the league's existing corporate system. For years, the WNBA carefully curated which brands got access to its players, often taking a significant cut or ensuring league interests came first. Then comes Caitlin Clark, a generational talent who didn't wait for permission to become a global icon. When she partnered with Gatorade, she wasn't just selling electrolyte. She was signaling to every major brand that the league's traditional power dynamics are over. Industry insiders suggest the commissioner's frustration stems from realizing the league can no longer dictate terms to its most valuable asset. If Clark can generate $50 million on her own, what incentive does she have to follow a league script many believe exists to protect the status quo? This massive influx of cash has created a superstar bubble the front office simply wasn't prepared for. Every commercial, every billboard reinforces a staggering reality the league would rather not spotlight. We're talking about a world where a rookie earns hundreds of times more than her base salary, creating a public relations nightmare for a commissioner trying to argue the league is doing enough for its players. The optics are brutal. While the league debates charter flights for all teams, its biggest star is flying private on endorsements she secured herself. It makes the league look small. And in high-stakes sports business, looking small is the ultimate sin. But the friction doesn't stop at the office door. It has spilled onto the hardwood in ways that have fans and analysts concerned. The increased physicality, the hard fouls, the cold shoulders from veterans. Some call it welcoming the rookie. Others see something more complicated, an internal frustration playing out in real time. There are whispers that the front office hasn't exactly rushed to shield Clark from the enforcer roles other teams have embraced, because a humbled star is easier to manage than a $50 million titan. That perceived jealousy is magnified by the massive wealth gap now inside the locker room. When one player earns more from a single Gatorade campaign than some teammates make in years, tension is inevitable. The commissioner is reportedly stuck in the middle, trying to calm frustrated veterans while protecting the Golden Goose driving record ratings. It's a balancing act that appears increasingly fragile, reflected in public outbursts and controversial officiating. But the real reason for the rage may be buried in the fine print of the league's recent media rights negotiations. The WNBA secured a massive $2 billion deal, yet sources claim those numbers were driven largely by the Caitlin Clark effect. Behind closed doors, there is pressure to prove the league is bigger than one player. The Gatorade deal suggests the opposite. It signals that the market values Caitlin Clark as an individual brand more than the league itself. That's a terrifying realization for any commissioner. If fans are tuning in for one person, and that person is independently wealthy enough to call her own shots, the league no longer negotiates from a position of strength. This is why the $50 million figure is so massive. It represents a complete shift in who holds the card. The WNBA has always been built on collective success, but we're now entering the era of the mega-athlete, and the transition is proving messy. Reports even suggest that Kathy Engelbert was blindsided by the timing of the Gatorade announcement, which allegedly stepped on other league-wide sponsorship rollouts. It's corporate ego versus individual success. While the commissioner wants to announce growth, Caitlin Clark's team is out there creating it, often leaving the league office behind. And then there's the Nike factor. When you combine the Gatorade deal with a rumored 8-figure Nike contract, you're looking at a brand arguably more stable than some of the franchises she faces. That creates a strange dynamic where the player is essentially unfireable and unfinable. If the league tries to discipline her or push her somewhere she doesn't want to go, she has the financial leverage to simply say no. That level of autonomy is unprecedented in women's sports, and it's clearly unsettling the traditional power structure. They're used to players being grateful for the platform, but Clark built her own platform, and it's taller than the one the league provided. The frustration isn't just about money. It's about losing the company town mentality that has defined the WNBA for nearly 30 years. This is a clash of civilizations, old-school sports management versus the modern player as platform model. And the Gatorade deal shows the modern model is winning decisively. What happens when the face of your league becomes financially untouchable before winning a championship? That's the question looming over the commissioner's office. There's concern that the spotlight is shifting away from competition and toward the Caitlin Clark show, something the league can't fully monetize or control. That frustration is reportedly influencing scheduling decisions and marketing strategies for other stars. There's an effort to force parity and distribute attention, but the market keeps circling back to Clark. The Gatorade deal proved you can't force fans to care about someone else once they've chosen their favorite. This has sparked accusations that the league is subtly slowing her momentum by not intervening in the harsh on-court treatment she receives, just to reinforce that she's still just a player. But $50 million suggests otherwise. She's more than a player. She's a corporate entity. And in America, you don't command a corporate entity, you request a meeting. The imbalance is so dramatic that even the criticism fuels her growth. Every swipe from a veteran, every attempt by a commentator to downplay her achievements, only generates more engagement, more sales, and more value for her Gatorade partnership. The commissioner's frustration may also stem from the reality that the league's internal marketing budget is a fraction of what Gatorade is spending to promote Clark. That's a difficult position for any executive. It means the WNBA brand is being shaped by a 22-year-old athlete and a beverage company rather than the people hired to run the league. It raises an unavoidable question about the future. Will leadership attempt to rewrite endorsement rules to capture more control? There's already discussion around restructuring how name, image, and likeness translate at the professional level. But any move to restrict Clark's earning power could trigger a legal battle the league can't afford. They're in a golden cage. Clark is delivering the revenue they desperately need, but she's doing it in a way that weakens their authority. The league wanted a superstar. Instead, it got a supernova, and now there's fear of getting burned. The Gatorade deal is likely the first of many dominoes. As more brands recognize Clark as the ultimate gateway to a new audience, the contracts will grow larger and more frequent. That snowball effect leaves the commissioner's office constantly reacting. They're playing checkers while Clark's team plays high-stakes poker with global corporations. The reported rage and frustration may only be the surface. Behind closed doors, the fight for the soul of the WNBA is happening right now. And the $50 million Gatorade deal was the opening move. The commissioner must decide whether she'll be remembered as the leader who ushered in the greatest era in women's sports, or the one who tried to resist an unstoppable force. For now, the frustration remains private. But as the stakes rise, the pressure will intensify. The league is evolving. The money is flowing. And old business models are being exposed as outdated. Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball. She's executing a corporate takeover of the sports landscape, one Gatorade bottle at a time. The power struggle is far from finished. But one thing is undeniable. The $50 million deal changed everything. There's no returning to the old system. The Caitlin Clark effect is no longer a moment, it's a structural realignment that has the establishment on edge. As the next season approaches, the real test will be how the league responds. Will they embrace the Clark empire, or let ego and resistance dictate the path forward? The fans have already chosen, and the brands have followed. Now the commissioner has to decide if she wants to join the future or get left in the past. It's a high-stakes game of chicken. And with $50 million in the bank, Caitlin Clark has plenty of room to drive. The WNBA is at a crossroads, and the direction it chooses will shape the next 50 years of the sport. Will it remain a league of equals, or become one built around a single unstoppable icon? The Gatorade deal has already answered that question, whether the commissioner likes it or not. The frustration we're hearing about is the sound of an old system cracking to make room for something new, something massive, and something that won't be stopped. So the next time you see a Gatorade commercial featuring that famous number 22 jersey, remember you're not just looking at an athlete. You're looking at the person who took the keys to the kingdom. And if Kathy Engelbert looks a little tense at her next press conference, now you know why. The game has changed. The players have changed. And most of all, the money has changed. This is the era of Caitlin Clark, and everyone else, including the league office, is adjusting to it. The question isn't whether she's worth $50 million. The question is whether the league can handle the power that comes with it. As tension builds, one thing is clear. The reality behind the scenes may be even more dramatic than what unfolds on the court. The rage is real. The deal is massive. And the WNBA will never look the same again. This is what disruption looks like when it collides with tradition. In this case, the disruption wears a fevered jersey and hits from deep without hesitation. The world is watching. The cameras are rolling. And the $50 million check has cleared. Now we wait to see who withstands the fallout of the biggest deal in women's basketball history. The commissioner may be frustrated, but for fans, this is one of the most compelling moments the sport has ever seen. From boardrooms to locker rooms, the tension is undeniable, but so is the potential. Whether this becomes a golden age or a full-blown power struggle remains to be seen. What's undeniable is that Clark has already shifted the balance. The Gatorade partnership exposed the cracks in the league's foundation. Now the question is whether leadership can rebuild before pressure turns into fracture. Is the frustration rooted in jealousy? Fear? Maybe both. But ultimately, it doesn't matter what the commissioner thinks. It matters what the fans want. And right now they want Caitlin Clark, regardless of the price tag. This isn't just a headline. It's the beginning of a generational shift. The WNBA is in the middle of a transformation. The process may be uncomfortable, but the outcome could be a league finally as big as its brightest star. So keep watching, because the Caitlin Clark saga is the most compelling storyline in sports right now. Today's tension could become tomorrow's partnership. The rage may fade, but the legacy of this moment will last. It's historic, it's controversial, and it's enormous. The shockwaves from this $50 million deal are still spreading. The power shift is real, and a new queen of the hardwood has emerged. What happens next is up to the commissioner, but she'll have to move quickly, because Caitlin Clark isn't waiting. This revelation didn't just change a balance sheet. It exposed the true market value of women's sports, and it's a number no one can ignore anymore. The noise from the front office may be loud, but it's just the sound of the world catching up. The WNBA story is being rewritten in real time. Every endorsement is another chapter. The frustration may grab the headlines, but the revolution is the real story. The future is here. It's branded, it's powerful, and it's unstoppable. The Gatorade deal was the spark, and the league is standing in the middle of the fire.